I've got good news and bad news for you today. So it depends how you look at it. The good news is this is the last lecture. The bad news is this is the last lecture.
Well, Martin had an intellect the size of a house.
Every day he would greet you in the morning saying, good morning, my friend, or how are you, my friend?
He was honest, always a consummate professional.
Great seeing Martin laugh at stuff, and he laughed a lot at stuff because he found a lot of stuff funny.
So he can hold 200 students in a lecture theatre and he'll have them in the palm of his hand.
And I think there is a legacy from him that I will carry always with me in this profession.
He was a very kind and gentle and generous man and educator, and it was always humorous and supportive and energetic and surprising.
When my children were small, they used to ask these really annoying questions. I don't know if you... Small children, they're really... I hate them because they come and ask you things like, why is the sky blue? And why are there stars? And why is it daytime and then it's nighttime? And of course, because they're really annoying, what you do is you just hit them around the head and say, go and ask your mother, which is a much easier way to deal with things.
That I don't think I ever heard him say an unkind word about anyone, and you got the feeling that he probably didn't have an unkind thought in his head about anyone.
I remember my first lecture because he was helping and assisting me. So I entered the room. There were about 200 students. So, you know, for the first time ever, it was a bit daunting for me that particular moment. And and then he probably noticed that from his experience and told me, look, Guido, remember always that they know very little about what you're going to tell them.
When I think about Martin, I think he was part of the kind of the soul of the school, one of those kind of key parts, and so it's a big missing piece for us. And I think students could, you know, his personality, he was a teacher, a mentor, a colleague. And I think particularly for students, his approach was that they were partners in kind of this journey of education. And yeah, I think that was it. He was a partner.
One of my students, a couple of years ago, wrote in that box, good shit. And that was a nice thing, I thought, but I wasn't quite sure how to interpret it in order to develop the unit. So perhaps you could add a little bit more to it than that, but who knows?
Well, Martin was very tech savvy, but he shared with me an active dislike for electronic invitations to meetings. So very occasionally we would have a kind of old gits get together by the kitchen sink and have a little rant about the loss of personal contact and the sense that we were being taken over by the world of electronics.
So probably the most important thing of Martin as a teacher is that he actually loved architecture, and you could feel that in anything. You know? He was always keen on talking about architecture.
Because I do these little pilgrimages around the country to go and see buildings. That's a great thing if you're an architecture or interior student. It means you have to go out and see things. So I don't go on holidays, I go on architectural visits and tours. I just talked about this axis through the middle. And I can let's put something important here, like the god Martin standing there like that. Nice. How are you doing for interest? I'm flagging a bit. I didn't get off the train till 1 o'clock in the morning. That's what comes with going out too late, doesn't it?
I'd meet him a lot by the photocopier in the corridor. I once met him in Edinburgh, and we'd both been sitting in Edinburgh University, and we met in the corridor of the airport, and we sat down and had a nice long hour's chat. And it's that kind of presence that I really enjoyed, was that conversation, and just the snippets at the photocopier and the snippets of him being always in the corridor with students, available to talk. And he was always available whether you were academic, a student, any member of staff, he was there to chat to. And he had time and took time to talk with you.
I've kind of come to the conclusion that Martin was a bit like Kenneth Clarke. He was a kind of father of the school in the way that Kenneth Clarke was father of the House of Commons. And that's not something to do with age, it's something to do with the kind of gravitas and authority that he carried, but also his humility, unique qualities, and he's a big loss.
I think all I would add is that I miss Martin tremendously, and I think he's a huge loss to the school. And seeing the students at graduation wanting to talk about Martin on their special day, I think is a mark of his importance to them. And I think it's something that is something to be very proud of. And if we can get anywhere near what Martin was able to do for his students, we're doing a good job.
I've always drawn things like this for you, haven't I? I like drawing. I think it's good fun. And I've always drawn things like that. And the best bit I've always enjoyed is I like doing this. I like drawing. Do you know who that is? It's Doggy, isn't it? Yeah. Now, some of you don't believe that Doggy exists. But I just thought I'd show you. This is Ollie the dog. And there he is. So that's just to say thank you very much for your kind attention. I wish you good luck with your studies. Thank you. I don't think that's a better drawing than mine. I think mine's... I'm just going to compare here. No, much better, my drawing.